it has to be placed as a continuum, because that's the only way that you're going to inspire your 1-year-old to keep learning, to keep exploring. That he's not going to be scared of falling down and getting up and going to those different corners, those darker corners that his mother may be scared of. He's not scared of that, because nobody taught him that he has to be scared of the dark. He has to be scared of, you know, those intricate things. He has to be scared of the unknown. That's something that's being taught to him. And you have the ability as an elder to shed some light on that, to provide that other perspective. I always thought, and I always had in mind, that the elder, your grandmother, your grandfather, were probably the couple that you could go to no matter what, because they will always be the one that have your back, always be the one that's going to say it's okay no matter what you did. You know, you killed somebody, you did something that, they're going to say it's okay, we understand, you made a mistake, and it's gonna be okay, because you will always have our unconditional love. That's what parents do, and grandparents even more so. You know, when you in African prisons, in most of the prisons, you don't get to get a meal. You don't have you're not in place in some type of high-tech facilities where you watch TV all day and you can play sport and no. Most of the African prisons, you just read in this freaking dark room. There's nothing there. If your family doesn't bring you food, you're gonna starve to death, or you're gonna have to use your own feces to be able to grow vegetables and stuff like that for you to be able to eat, because they're not gonna provide you with anything. So your family is gonna be required to bring you food. And I think, you know, some people may see different ways. They may be angry about that and saying, hey, if your family member end up being a criminal, you shouldn't be having no contact with them, blah 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 blah. But I think, to me, that aspect plays a specific purpose, the specific purpose of unconditional love, and it is most embodied by the mother to her child, woman or boy, or girl or boy, where no matter what you did, you know, no matter how horrific and horrendous, and that she can't even understand and she didn't comprehend how you got to do that, she'll come to make sure you're fed. She will come, you get that second chance. She will come to, you know, pray and hope that you stay here long enough so you can repent and so that you can understand the consequences and the impact of your actions. Okay, but she will come and give you the food that you need to sustain your body and to sustain yourself and to be here and to be present and to understand the gravity and the consequences of your action, even if you have to spend your entire life, the entire rest of your life in jail for what you did. And I think it's most exemplified through the love of a mother for her child, the love of a mother for her son. It's not the only love that's unconditional, I think, because there's a lot of women saying that, but only a woman can experience that. No, I've seen men experience this even more. Men raising children that are not even their own, and loving them and providing everything to them and really loving them unconditionally, despite no matter what they can say, what they can do, no matter if they break the law, no matter how horrendous the crime they committed. Men can have the same form of unconditional love. To me, I don't play those gender wars and those gender politics and all that stuff. I just acknowledge that both feminine and masculine essence have the ability to love unconditionally and to be about it. And I think as an elder, you owe that. I think, to me, when you think of an elder, you think of your grandparents and your grandmother. One thing I'll say, my grandmother fed whoever came through her door. Child of the neighbor, child of somebody who was away, person who was just simply hungry. She doesn't care about your sexual orientation, she doesn't care about your gender, she doesn't care about anything of that nature. If you're hungry, she will give you food. She even give you the clothes she has in her back. And I think those are values, those are belief, and those are essence that are not tradable. So you can be somebody who's living in a big house, having a fancy car and all of that, but you may not have the ability to transmit that empathy. And I think when your child is in harm's way, when your child is away at the mercy of strangers, that's really when you're going to wish that those strangers have the same kindness of heart, that the strangers saw your child as their own and treat them as their own and care for them and make sure they were okay. And I think that's where the elders have such an important part to play. Not to be dictators of dogma and you know, you have your parents. That's the role of the parents. The parents bring their dogma, they bring their own rules, they bring their perspective, and try to mold their children. A lot of them, even sometimes without wanting to do so, they do it anyway. And that's okay. That's what parents is there for. You have your own belief, and you know, the only thing you can transmit to your child is what you know, so you're trying to do your best transmitting that. But your grandparents are your safe haven. Your elders are the safe haven where you can run to and feel like no matter what you did, the sun is going to shine tomorrow. Life is still going to be okay. You can find within that chance to redeem yourself. You can find within the strength to forgive yourself, because grandma said things are going to be okay. Grandma said it was okay. Grandma said, you know, you can move forward and you can do better. You always have the opportunity to do better. And I think that's what the youth are missing. The youth are parading in all kind of fun freaking way. There's no directions anymore. There's no parents there. There's no grandparents there. They're abandoned to their own selves. They have to kind of reinvent the wheel, looking for the wheel, trying to make up the wheel, looking for material to build the wheel. And in some places is really a lot worse than others. And today that's why I'm just calling on the elders. I'm calling on the elders, those of you who have been hurt so much that you can phantom the fact that your child is going in a different direction, and you can phantom the love that you could provide, the peacefulness that you can give them, because you've been hurt, because your heart has been hardened. This is really a video that's for you. Don't let that hardened heart hurt your child, hurt your grandchild. As an elder, your heart is supposed to be soft. You're supposed to be the intervener when your children are going off on your grandchildren. You're supposed to intervene and be in protecting them. You're supposed to be the listening ear when mommy doesn't want to listen to you. When mommy is blaming her daughter for what's going on, you should be the safe haven that they can run to and tell grandma everything that really happened, and tell grandma the truth without feeling ashamed, without feeling scared. That's really your role as an elder. And if you watch this video and you have a grandchild somewhere that you haven't seen for months or for years, please take this video as an invitation for you to reconnect with them, to recontact them. No matter what their mother have told you, no matter what you've done in the past, recontact them and tell them how much you love them, how much you care for them, how much, you know, you will keep loving them even though they did the worst thing in the world. Children need to hear those things. Grandchildren even more. Maybe you feel like you dropped the ball with your daughter, or you with your son, that you're no longer able to get through to him or to her, that they're not going to listen to you because maybe you'll be absent, maybe will think you didn't do, or none of that. So that's your chance for you to reach out to your grandchildren and be there for them, and provide that safe haven for them. Provide that openness that they can come and talk to you about anything without feeling judged, without feeling that you're going to oppress them or tell mom and dad and things are going to get worse. They should feel that they will come and tell you, and you will have their back. You will believe them. You will know what they're going through. You will know what they're feeling. You will give them wisdom. You give them knowledge, experience, information, and wisdom above all. I think it's so sad when somebody is saying that they can't even stand their grandparents because their parents are like so harsh, that they're saying that their grandparents are harsher than even their parents. It breaks my heart every time I read that, and every time I hear that your grandparents are harsher and more brutal than your own parents. As a grandparent, you're supposed to have that softness of life. You're supposed to have all the experience. Didn't teach you anything? All of the experience, all the mistakes you were allowed to make and still be here didn't teach you anything about the softness and the light heart that you need to have, and the forgiveness you need to have for other people for what they are going through as well. Didn't teach you anything. Didn't teach you about your compassion. Didn't teach you about providing that space that that child can run to. And I'm making this video because there was a time, especially in the African American diaspora, where the elders, the big mama, the grandfather, the grandmother were the pillar of the community. Because you know that if your mother was running around loose, or was just not holding on to her responsibility, or was just not fit for that, or was going through something, you could count on your grandmother and your grandfather and the elders to be there for you, to make sure you had a roof over your head, that you could eat food, you have clothes to go to school, that you will be taken care of. But from what I've been receiving as messages, it seems like even the grandparents now are just like running off. I don't know what grandparents are doing nowadays, but it seems like they're just running off, or they're being harsher than even the parents. If you're harsher than the parents, who's there to look out for the kids? Who's gonna soften their heart? If you're hardening the heart, if you are hardening the heart of children, how do you think they're going to be as adults? And when they turn to be elders as well, what kind of elders are they going to be? That's what is it's so important while you're still here. It's not a matter of always calling on the ancestors. Sometimes I do get irritated when I explain to people that honoring the ancestors is doing your best right here, right now. It's not about buying some fruit and putting on an altar and reciting some mantras and stuff like that. It's about you honoring your ancestors by doing better than them. You honoring your ancestors by doing better than them. By caring about your own legacy. The legacy coming through your bloodline. By making sure you're seeking out every single seed that comes from your bloodline, and making sure every single one of them is okay and has opportunities. And the opportunity to make mistakes, the opportunity to feel love, and the opportunity to achieve whatever they want to achieve. You don't know what kind of miracle you may bring to somebody's life when they found out their auntie from Minnesota that they never know about came and brought them shoes for school. You don't know what it is like when a child finds out that his grandmother in France that he never knew about come back home in Cameroon or in Senegal or wherever else, and just because they cared and told them they love them, that they are amazing, that they can accomplish everything. Sometimes it's not about the teacher telling you that, your professors or your boss telling you that. Sometimes it's just you need to hear it from your own family, from your own blood, from your own mother, from your own grandmother, from your own auntie. That's what you needed to hear it from. And as elder, that's what you're there to provide for. You need to believe in those kids even when you don't believe, even when they don't believe in themselves. And you need to push yourself to believe in them even when they are at their lowest. You need to find within yourself the ability to look at them and see the potential that they represent. And the amazing thing that they can bring to this world. They already bring into this world. In Africa, they used to say, back home they used to say, when you saw a child and you knew which family it was coming from, you disciplined the child as if it was yourself, your own. You treat the child as if it was your own. If you knew the child was doing something mischievous, you will call them up. And you say, you shouldn't be doing that. They'll be scared and they'll run off home and stop doing what they were doing. And they will thank you later for that. They may not appreciate it at the time. They may curse you out as an elder. They may say, what the hell, mind your own damn business. But you are old enough to take that because you understand that it's not about this specific moment. It's about them realizing that later, when they actually need to get that ingrained in them, when they actually need to pass that on to someone else. They can say, you know what, one day I was doing something really messed up, and this old guy showed up from the neighborhood and told me to get out of here. And I didn't want to get out of here, but I did, and that saved my life. That pushed my life in a complete different direction. And I think that is so important. I can't even imagine a community that doesn't have any elders. Now I can see why sometimes you have 20-year-old people or 20-year-old in your late teen trying to teach youngsters, trying to be what they can't, because they don't have the experience. They don't have the knowledge that you do have, that you do possess as an elder, no matter how messed up your life turned out to be. Maybe you try things and the woman you love didn't love you. Maybe the job that you wanted to hold, the diploma that you had didn't work out. It doesn't mean you're worthless. You still have a part in the community. Because that experience, somebody will need that. Somebody will need to know that. The way you feel in saying sometimes you can do your best and still get a crappy results. And sometimes one person may need to hear that so that they understand that it's not their fault. So they understand that they can keep doing their best. And don't ever feel like you're useless. If you're still here for a reason. It's to me, it's so heartening. It's so touchy when you have a child that tells me that her grandmother doesn't even listen, doesn't even care, that her grandmother, will choose weed over her, that her mother will turn around and wouldn't listen to her. That's when we're having the biggest problem. Sometimes people like to blame everything on the youth. Oh, the youth are out of control. The youth don't want to listen to anybody. They don't have any respect. Who taught them respect to begin with? You have to teach them that. You have to teach them that. You don't have to be the perfect parent. That's not what I'm saying. You don't have to know it all. You may not even have all the resources, but you all have to do your best, and you always have to be open. And once you reach as an elder, I think this is what, a lot of fuss is being made about menopause and women and all the different things, and trying to balancing your hormone. But I think menopause is a deeper calling for women to really ascend to their crown status. You become a crown, you become an elder, and this is kind of like the last call to tell you your job is to make sure that you look after those kids. That you turn around and look after these kids. This is not the time to say, oh, grandma needs a life too. You already have a life. You have a life that's still unfolding. And you can have your life and still look after these kids. Look after your own blood. Look after your generation. So it's just this is just a call for you to realize how important, how valuable. There's no community without elders. There can never be a community without elders. I hear all those talks about people going to the woods and going to different countries, leaving the United States, going to different countries, whatever, forming the community. If there's no elders in that community is not viable. You need elders. The elders are the gatekeepers. The elders are the wisdom keepers. The elders are the memories. The elders teach you things just by their presence. Your presence alone is teaching these kids that's where they may end up. That's where they may be in so many years that they can't even contrast. When I was 17, I didn't know what being 20 was like. I thought being 20 was old. Because I couldn't comprehend what 20 represents. It was so far away from me. It was so far away from my own existence. I couldn't know. I couldn't even fathom realizing what it was about. And having my older sister who was in her 20s, or having all the cousins around me, and seeing people around her that were in that status stage, put things to perspective. Having your grandmother, having elders around you, put things in perspective. And you need that perspective, whether you're single, you're engaged, you're married, you are a mother or not. You need that perspective just to factor in where you are, which states of life you are. And it's the same thing for men. Some young girls may be running around thinking about, hey, I don't need a relationship, I just need to hit it and quit it and run and be responsible and all of that, because they don't have any guidance. There's nobody there telling them, you know, I have a wife, showing them, I have a wife, I love my wife, we have kids, I'm really happy, I'm content, I'm satisfied, I get amazing joys raising my son and my children, so that they look at that and they're inspired to have the same thing. They're inspired that they can have the same thing if they want to. Or that they have another perspective. Somebody who's just like, I don't have any relationship, I was messed up, I was this, somebody did that, and be able to tell that story. So the youngers can learn, can observe, and decide for themselves whether that's where they want to end up. All of these programs about, you know, criminals coming out of jail and speaking to children, they wouldn't need to be coming out of jail speaking to children if the elders were still there. You know, they can tell you, you know, such and such went to prison because they went down that path, and I don't want that path for you. Now you have, there's no elders, so now you have to wait for those people to come out of jail and tell the youngsters to, like, no, don't be like me. Don't waste 20 years of your life, or, you know, doing this or doing that. Do something else. Just follow your own passion. You don't need to be selling drugs. If you like to draw and paint, be an artist. If you like to sing, do this, be an artist. If you like to do that, if you like reading books, go read books. Write your own books. They wouldn't have to, they shouldn't have to wait for that person who already gone through the gutter and maybe came out to tell them their story, because you need to have that elder be there. You are the keys to unraveling all of the cycles around you. No matter what trauma you went through, no matter what, you had your time. You live 70 years, 50 years, 60 years, or 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, sometimes 80 years or 90 years old. Now it's time for you to make sure you can share that wisdom, so that the next generation and the generation after that can make better decisions. So they don't suddenly suffer as much as you did. The goal is to have less suffering, to have more ease, to get wiser from one generation to another. And that requires your participation as an elder, because that wisdom is not going to come from anywhere else. Sometimes I can do my videos. I see other people doing videos trying to touch the heart of young folks, trying to touch the heart of people around them, trying to respond to the call that they've been called to do, and shed that light despite the fact that it's being attacked, the fact that a lot of people don't like it. But they are not here to do your job. They are not here to do the things that you're supposed to be doing, because you know what? Each of us come here and each of us has something to do that no one else can do. No one else can do what you came down here to do. And that's a fact. Nobody can have it. There's no spells for that. There's no magic for that. There's something that you sign up specifically to come down here and do. And that includes the stuff that you will do as an elder. Life has different stages. At each stages, there's a little bit of naivety, there's a little bit of innocence, there's a little bit of credulity, there's a little bit of exploration and curiosity that we have. But at each stage, there's also a little bit of wisdom that we acquired as we move along. So that as we go from stage 1 to stage 2, we have the wisdom of stage 1 when we take with us. That will enable us to share with all of the other stage 1 people that we'll meet, that will ask for wisdom. And sometimes they may not formally ask you for wisdom. They may not say, hey, what wisdom do you have for me today? They may just simply, you know, bring a situation to you. If they're close to you and they trust you, they may just bring the situation and tell you about it. Or maybe you may be confronted with just seeing a stranger, a complete stranger, start crying or breaking down. And I think in those modern societies, sometimes it's kind of taboo. There's so many times when I've seen a woman when I was in college, and I've seen these women crying on you know, the cafeteria ground at night when there was nobody around, and she was just sitting there crying where I went there. And sometimes we didn't even exchange words. Sorry, I just held her and she just finished crying. Sometimes we talked about, you know, what happened, what's the matter, what's the issue. So don't think that your role and your purpose as an elder requires someone to come and say, hey, I need to ask you something, oh, hey, I need your wisdom. Sometimes it requires you to be alert of your surrounding, of your environment, and to recognize when somebody next to you is suffering. How can you have your grandchild suffering right next to you, and you're so oblivious because you're thinking about, you know, where you're going to go party, or you know, whatever next big thing you're going to have that you've already done in the past 70 or 80 years before? That's when your own attention needs to shift. Your attention needs to shift and to be, my grandfather always stated that he was the last one to go and turn the lights off in the house. And that was his moment to ensure that everyone else in the house was safe. And then when his job was done, when everyone else in the house was safe, he can go switch the last light off and go to sleep, after making sure everyone else in the home was safe. He wasn't getting ready to go out and party and go out drinking and stuff like that. And there's a lot of you don't know about my grandfather, but that particular grandfather, but it's to me, it's those core things. I didn't have that much time to learn and expand from him, but there's a lot of things from him that I learned and that I understand and that I admired and that I nourish myself with. Because I know soon that stage of being an elder will come. And everything that I've lived throughout my life will help me and assist me being that elder. And embodying and fulfilling that role, that part, the best that I can. The best that I can. So this is not a video to make you feel bad about yourself. I hope this video encouraged you to look at your grandchildren and to understand how much your grandchildren love you and need you. And to understand how much you are precious to any community. No matter where you are, no matter what's going on around you. As an elder, you are very, very, very precious. Just listen to people, women, men who lost their grandfathers, who lost their grandmother early, who didn't get to tell them they loved them, who didn't get to, you know, implement what they taught them, who didn't get to ask them questions. You just listen to that, you will feel the pain in their heart, and you will understand how precious you are to any community. No matter what community you're from, as an elder, you are precious. You are precious. You are vital. Your pulse is the pulse of the community. A lot of people like to believe that it is the pulse of the youngest. No. The youngest come from you. The youngest come from you. So I hope you see it as a call to finally let go, to continue to learn and expand and acquire knowledge so you can share it with your daughters, your granddaughters, your neighbors, the children around you, anyone that wants to listen to you, that comes from you and seek your advice, your wisdom, seeks your blessings also. I'll do a separate video on blessings, but it's so important as that the elders continue to bless the children, to bless their grandchildren and the legacy and the seeds. And anyone they encounter, blessing is such an amazing tool. There's no spell that can destroy the blessing of your grandmother, the blessing of your elders. When your elders bless you for everything that you're doing, when they acknowledge the contribution that you're making and they bless you, there's nothing like it. There's no form of protection that can equal that. So this is just to show you a small part of the power that you have on your children. We are your children. All of us are your children. And I think I speak, and I hope I do speak for your children, your grandchildren, your unborn children. 7, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20 generation coming down from you. And that's enough to awaken within yourself the wisdom and the power of the wise elder, that you will find within yourself the motivation, the inspiration, the aspiration to guide the children around you and the children of the children of your children, whether biological or otherwise. I thank you for listening, and I humbly and sincerely just hope I didn't cause any offense, and that you just take this video and this plea as an importance of your presence and how much we need you around the world. No matter where you are, no matter what language you speak, no matter what community you come from, elders are our treasures. They are our memories. They are our roots. You are our roots. The children are not going to be able to untie every knot if the roots are not there. You are so precious, my love. And I wish all of you realize that. And all of you who are parents right now, see your next step to become an elder and to share that wisdom and to prepare for that stage. And be willing to prepare for that stage, and be willing to seek knowledge. Be willing to go on to workshops and learn different things so that you can teach it before you go, before you transition. So there may be people in your network who will never come across this knowledge if it wasn't for you. And I hope you do realize that you may be the only person that can enable them to discover certain things about themselves, to believe in themselves, and to do even more than they ever thought possible. Okay, I think this video is so long. Thank you so much for being with me, and please do share it with your elders in your communities, and just inspire. And it's not just a calling, it's also a celebration. Because as you see in this whole entire video, it's not just calling you elders to come and contribute more, but it's also celebrating and acknowledging that we need you, and that your presence is heartfelt. Even though sometimes us youngsters, we may not act like we understand, act like we are implementing, but whatever you say stays with us in our heart, and will come back to us later on when we really need it. So we need you to speak up, and we need to hear from you. Thank you for being with me, and I will see you in the next video.